We're live.
All right. Hey everyone. I'm sure we were up to like what, 90 viewers at this point?
Well, I'm actually on the starting soon screen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because we got no viewers currently. Calm down.
Okay. So,
I should be at least one right now, considering there's two people in this podcast. But I think we'll make it there eventually.
yeah, no, that's super weird. I don't know why it's not registering.
Real weird, man. Real weird.
Um, the I expect to see. Here's who I expect to see. First of all, I sent James Gunn a personal tweet. Just telling him that we were going to be reviewing the movie. We're good friends. Also, the Russo brothers. So they should be in the stream soon.
You know, I doubt it. A small part of me believes that. Yeah, I just checked your Twitter history. No tweets.
It was a private message.
Oh, okay. All right. DM.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, I guess this is our first go at a podcast where we're gonna sit around and talk about shit that we like. Mainly, me be objective and Jordan fanboy about everything.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
I'm Prime Tony, and this is
I'm
Momo J's.
Momo J. And we're here to discuss Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Oh man, we already lost a viewer as soon as I said Momo J. Gone.
That's right. They must be looking for it on my channel.
There's an echo going on. All right. I'm not sure why. I got a plan here. Let's do this. Hold on. What about now, Dave? Down to one viewer.
Don't worry. I'm still here.
Yeah, but man, first episode already technical difficulties. Super professional. Are you in the stream, Jordan? Are you in the stream, Jordan?
I am.
Dave's asking you to talk.
Hello, hello. This is Momo J.
All right. It's definitely on my end.
How do I pull up your... I see in your chat.
All right, say something, Jordan.
Hello. Okay. Talking on our new and established channel by the name of the Magic Mike Movie Men.
Yeah, we're not doing Magic Mike movie, man. No.
Still being decided. We are very heavily leaning towards the Magic Mike.
No, we're not. No, we're not. Not at all.
How can I pull up your chat? Like, I'm in your chat up.
You click the chat toggle. Man, tell me you never get in my stream without telling me you never get in my stream.
Well, the weird part is it's always
This
it just
motherfucker.
pops up. Oh, it's because I have 3.
All right. Well, this should have cleared up the audio issue. Dave, can you give us a check on the audio? Does it sound good? Better but quiet. Well.
Oh.
Okay, so I can turn you up a little bit. All right, that's as loud as I'm gonna let you, because this motherfucker's annoying as shit.
Yep.
All right. So, where are we gonna start here? What'd you think of the movie?
Look, I honestly think it was the best movie since Endgame, and I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. So, like, Spider-Man: No Way Home, that was like amazing. But overall, I think Guardians of the Galaxy 3, it just knocked it home. It sent it. I think it was a very, I would say, like a conclusion to what we know as the Guardians, and it was just a great way to say goodbye.
Now, I'll agree that it was an amazing movie. I'll even go as far as to say that it was the best movie that's been made. Actually, the best form of media to come out of Phase 4. I'll even throw in all the Star Wars shit from the last 5 years. It was better than all of that. But you need the other movies, right? Like, they give you all of the background. So, like, as a standalone movie, I think it loses some points. But as the ending of a trilogy, almost perfect. Very good.
Yeah, absolutely, and I can agree with that. But that is what Marvel does best too. Just a intermingling of character arcs through a very extended period of time. Which in this movie, I think, finally answered a lot of the ones that I wanted. And then also kind of, took a big fat poopy on some of the other ones that I wanted to see different.
Poopy?
But we'll get into that.
What? Poopy?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, poopy. So what was your some things that you liked about the beginning of the movie?
Okay, so anybody who's a dog lover immediately saw Rocket as a fucking baby and was like hit right in their heartstrings. Like James Gunn knew what he was doing. One fun fact I learned, I just learned this the other day. Did you know, like, most of the songs were picked by the cast members? Like, really? Yeah, like the whatever like was resonating with them, in that moment, in that scene, is actually the music they went with, which I thought was kind of neat. So apparently, awesome. Bradley Cooper was feeling like a sad puppy.
Yeah, honestly think that's another imperfect thing because I know that you're a you're also a big fan of musical type movies like me.
I do like music.
Yeah. I think we both share a very big enjoyment out of The Greatest Showman. But that's one thing that I like about the Guardians of the Galaxy movies is because it's almost the closest thing you can get to an action-packed musical superhero movie, just because of how good the music choices are in the movies. But that's just a little personal opinion.
One thing also that it really hit home was how distraught fucking Chris Pratt was, like Star-Lord's character is, like how hurt he was. I mean, he's there in the Christmas special, and it's not shown as much, but like, yeah, his life has been turned upside down, and they don't pull any punches. Everybody's felt that way before if they've ever been in a relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I enjoyed. I actually enjoyed to see, like, because it seemed like there were actual repercussions. Right? That's something I didn't really like about the Christmas special, was because it seemed, which I get, right? It's a Christmas special, but like it seemed too lighthearted to resonate with me. That Star-Lord had just, for one, like come back to life, after being snapped. Um, but then on top of that, it's like, Gamora, who he single-handedly almost destroyed the fate of the universe, or half of it. For it just didn't seem like he was really missing that. So I'm glad that they that put a different light on his character in the beginning.
Yeah, it's kind of cool how he's like cognizant of it, right? He's like, yeah, I knew I was going to throw the universe away, but he killed my girl, so I was upset about it.
Yeah, absolutely. As you said, as soon as I saw Rocket as a little baby, I was like, oh my god, I'm feeling for it. And I was also excited. I wanted to see Rocket's backstory for a very long time. I'm not I haven't read a lot of comics, so like a lot of the superhero stuff I get is from the MCU firsthand, and I've started reading comics now. But to people like me, these characters are new, and we don't know where they come from or what they're about.
So Dave's talking about changing his name to Floor. Let's talk about those characters, right? So right off in the beginning, they put him in this captivity, I guess, with a bunch of other I don't know, what would you call them, like cyborg animals? Like, I don't know, it's fucked up. But honestly, every time they were on the screen, I wanted to cry. Like, it hit me. Like, I was just like, this is so depressing and dark and like not kid friendly.
Yeah, well, so it's funny because like you don't want to cry because like you're sad, right? I think it's more or less the fact of, because I think in my opinion what brought an even sadder tone was watching Star-Lord get carried out of a bar to the song Creep. Like that was resonated with me, like, oh fuck, that sucks. Like the group's kind of fucked up right now.
See, that didn't hit me at all. But when I saw that fucking bunny rabbit without a mouth and spider legs, I was like, oh my god, dude. Oh my god. That poor fucking animal.
Yeah. Well, see, I got teary-eyed because they were actually finding a way to be happy in the shittiest situation.
How depressing is that? This is the life they have. Oh my god.
But no, honestly, to be honest, I loved the animals, right? Like that was amazing. I loved Rocket, because you got to see a different side of Rocket, right? Which helped you get to see his character arc in a way. Because he was actually innocent and young, right? Like how everyone starts off. So it was awesome to see. However, I will say this: the bunny's voice was a little annoying at some points, but beyond that, I loved the character.
See, I didn't find anybody annoying. I found it darkly depressing. There's a lot of symbology that's going on there about like
Oh yeah,
cruelty to animals and you know, the ripping innocence away for profit. Like all that stuff just it was really hitting home, and it was really really sad. And it sucks that a character we've loved for the past like 10 years was birthed from it.
yeah. Um, Absolutely. I've been really trying to wrap my head around like, you know, what could be the overall theme of the movie, like described in one sentence. Um, Towards the end, we'll touch on it, but like,
Oh, it's definitely growth. If I could say it in one thing, it's maturity.
yeah,
It's people growing up.
yeah. There's also some, I hate to say it, almost like a Bruno Mars song, but like, there's a lot of talk about expectations or not being perfect enough. Because at the end of the day, that is why these animals were experimented on, was to find the perfect creation to be able to inhabit a new world in a way. Um, and
Yeah, but
the whole talk.
that's the plot, right? That's not the theme or the subtext of the movie, right? Think about every character in that movie. They get pissed off. Something bad happens. They overcome it because of their friends, and they're better off for it. It's about growing up. And if you go back and look at all the Guardians movies, they're kind of that whole journey. Like the first one's just all fun and nobody gives shit, and they're just like, all right, we'll do the right thing, but hopefully we'll make a buck along the way. And then the second one's about figuring out who your family is and who your parents are, and coming to terms with them being people too. And this last one's really just about becoming an adult and moving on with your life.
Yeah. Well, there's also an aspect that touches on like, because you got to think, the High Evolutionary, he basically tells Rocket at some point. Um, Sorry, I'm reading Dave's comment here. Even with Mantis, you see such a growth that she realizes she's never lived on her own free will. Yeah, it's true. But like you see something with the High Evolutionary like telling Rocket that he and his friends aren't going to be a part of the new world because they don't look good enough, right? Or they're not good enough. They're not the finished product. You see the conversation with Star-Lord and Gamora, where Star-Lord's like wanting her to fit into the puzzle piece of being his girlfriend again, and Gamora says like, "I don't know who you expect me to be, but I'm not her." You see a lot of like whenever Nebula questions why Drax and Mantis are a part of the team, because basically they just carry them around, right? Like they have to pull their weight along. And then like as especially in the final act, you get to see like how each of them contributes. Like there's also a really good theme of just showing that like there is no expectations, right? Like you are good enough at something to be worthy, right? Something like that.
I think, but that's when I talk about growth, right? So it's not about being okay. And like, yes, that's true. Like, it doesn't matter what you are. There's a spot for you in the world. But what this movie did right, and what it did very well, was it let the characters realize that they are okay, even if they're not perfect. Look at Drax is a great example of that, right? So for 3 movies now, he's said some of the dumbest shit in all of media. It's been hilarious, but it's stupid, right?
Yeah.
And if you remember, I think it was in the second movie, he's like, only idiots dance. I'm not a dancer. Quill, you got to find a dancer because you're a dancer. What did he do in the end of the movie?
He danced. He finally became.
He finally became okay with being an idiot.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, I'm an idiot, and it's time for me to be a dad again. I'm like choking up just thinking about that. It was so good. It was so good.
Yeah. Daddy Dancing Drax. That's right.
Yeah.
But yeah, the beginning of the movie perfectly set up a bunch of things like our introduction to Rocket and who he was when he started out. It also puts Star-Lord in a place where he's not Star-Lord, he's not to say it simply, legendary Star-Lord.
He's even annoyed about it in the beginning when he gets called Star-Lord. He's like, "Oh, you only call me it when you're fucking pissed."
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he sees himself as that either.
Yeah. I mean, it's a perfect representation, especially, introducing like depression like that into the movie. Like, yeah, of course, I understand where that's coming from. Nebula, I think Nebula had a really, I enjoyed Nebula's moments in the movie too. It shows just an immense amount of growth, just compared to her other movies, to where she almost took on the mantle of Gamora in a way in that group, because she's kind of like trying to pull everything together, and it means that she's embraced the fact that she has a family and she's not alone anymore, which is a lot of what set her character up in like the other movies. She was always trying to work for the acceptance of her father, but as an individual, and now it's almost like she's for the commonwealth of the group, which I enjoyed.
See, I think it had more to do with, I could be wrong, but I think it had more to do with the fact that she just spent 5 years with Rocket alone. It was just them. They were the only ones who survived the blip, right? So, like, she's got an extreme emotional attachment to him, and it's probably been the only one she's ever been healthy in her whole life. Because you can't call her relationship with Gamora healthy in any way.
No, but from what what we've seen, there's what we can infer that maybe it's her attachment to Rocket, but realistically in Endgame, I think it's the fact that Nebula started her, becoming.
You cut out there, Jordan.
Sorry, my back.
Yep.
Okay. Well, so I think she started her new character arc, not new, but finishing that in the opening scene of Endgame. Whenever she's on the ship with Tony Stark, they're stranded in space. I think she realizes that she can be more than an assassin, right?
He's going to talk
her
about
father.
this, Dave, like you didn't just say that in chat.
Oh, my bad. I didn't even see that, Dave. Yeah, no, but I agree with you.
Good point, Dave.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but no, like, so I'm sure there's a bunch of things that play into it that cause her to be the way she is in this movie, and I just enjoyed it. Obviously, with Groot, like Groot's just Groot, right? He looks badass, looks more badass than I think he's ever looked.
So James Gunn actually went on record and said that most of the I am Groots that are said on screen are pretty much him either like making lewd comments or calling people fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Which is, in context, hilarious.
Yes, it's great. I loved seeing Groot. Like you said, growing up, right? Because I think like really the last time we see Groot, he's a teenager. He's teenage Groot, right?
Yeah.
And like really the only important thing that after he cut his arm off for the axe in Infinity War, that's really whenever he starts his growing, right? As like a trying to grow up. And like you were saying. So it was nice to see what that turned into.
Of all the characters, I think Groot had the least amount going on in this iteration. I mean, the focus was more so on Rocket, which is fantastic. But like, we didn't really get a lot of Groot character moments. We did get a lot of Groot action scenes, but
which I love. I love the Groot action scenes. So, and I loved every bit of Groot action that I got, except for some parts in the end, but we'll touch on that. And then another important thing that happened in the beginning was, first of all, the introduction to Cosmo and the introduction to.
Now hold on,
Adam Warlock.
Cosmo was in the fucking Christmas special. So
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But you actually get to see him more,
her.
or her more. Yeah, sorry.
All right.
Her.
My first big complaint: why the fuck does Cosmo have to be a chick? Cosmo has been a dog in the comic books for fucking decades.
Yeah.
Well, what do you mean? Why not? So we got a chat from Hufflepuff Apothecary, which happens to be my goddamn wife. We don't need to gender swap characters when it's a dog. It's not like we need more female dog representation. What's the point we're trying to make here? But that dog, dude, I want more. I want a lot more.
Yeah. Because like I said, I'm not from the comics, so I didn't know. Like in my mind, I always thought Cosmo was like a male dog. So like being introduced to Cosmo, realistically, I don't remember a lot of Cosmo in the Christmas special. I don't know if they had a gender, the Cosmo or not.
No,
to be honest.
No, it didn't.
Okay, so when I found out it was a she, for me it was just kind of like a, huh, okay, I guess I was wrong about that. And then like I was just like, okay, cool. But yeah, no.
Yeah, so Dave's chiming in right now in chat saying he only knows Chef only knows Cosmo from Marvel Snap. Chef is Momo J.
Yeah, also known as Chief.
But anyways, yeah, so Cosmo, great character. When everybody's dancing at the end, that dog's like whipping its toy around, I thought that was perfect. Like that's somebody who understands what a dog is.
Absolutely,
But yeah, so we're at the midpoint of our time, so we are gonna move into the middle of the movie. Now, what I thought was great for the midpoint, if you'll allow me to keep talking, was everybody just immediately banded together. So like Rocket, he's hurt. Adam Warlock gets introduced, pisses everybody off, beats the shit out of the whole team. Then Rocket gets hurt, right? And nobody complained or bitched or whined or anything. They were just like, yep, we got to figure this out. We got to go over here and get this thing. Everybody's on board immediately. Let's just go do it. That really shows like how much of a family like all these people are.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. I think so at that point, their main thing is to figure out to get the files to access the code to turn off the kill switch for Rocket.
Yeah, the MacGuffin. It doesn't matter what it was. It was just the thing to keep him alive.
Yeah. So they go to I don't remember what the place is called, but it's basically the planet of made out of organic life, right?
God, what was it called? It was like the Ogapon or Ogadogo or Oga Corp or yeah.
Yeah. I think just like the Guardians of the Galaxy movies do, perfect. It was a great sense to bring in a way to advance the feelings of characters, because that's whenever we see Gamora again. Once they meet up with the Ravagers, we find out Gamora is a part of the Ravagers, and she's helping them on this mission. And that's whenever we get Star-Lord actually expressing his feelings for Gamora in a way.
And they made it as awkward as possible, which they should, right? Yeah.
Exactly. I loved the scene with the buttons.
Did you notice like the only one that was correct was yellow? So like everybody only could, if they wanted to, they immediately knew they could fucking yell at Star-Lord because his was yellow. They had to fucking think about the other ones.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was perfect. I loved that. And then
I could do without Sylvester Stallone coming back. I don't really care about that guy, but having the Ravagers, the OG Ravagers from the first movie was kind of cool. Our second movie, was it? I don't know. Whatever their cameo was.
yeah, I think it was a second actually. Yeah. But yeah, no, it was awesome. And then they break into Olga Corp or whatever it's called, the organic place, and you actually get to see Star-Lord kind of get back into the swing of things, disabling the shield generators, or so that way they could pass through, being what he is, like just the best heist thief there is, right? Um, but he still has, like, Gamora's still one of his mental barriers holding him back, and that shows pretty well. Um, but yeah, trying to think. Did you notice a difference in Star-Lord from, like, his first movies? I don't remember. I have to go back and watch the first movies.
So
Obviously.
he's definitely lost confidence. He's definitely gotten a little bit more, I guess, in his own head because he used to just make decisions impulsively, right? He's also become a little bit more skilled. Like they had him like throwing the ball and catching it, right? If you remember, he fucking dropped it in the first movie. So like,
Yeah.
small little things like that.
Yeah. But yeah, the second part, I think it was great. I love to see the interaction between Drax and Mantis. Like, that was some of the best moments in the film, in my opinion.
Dude, like everybody getting pissed off at each other and everybody yelling and screaming and getting mad. It kind of lends a little bit darker tone to the film, along with a lot of other things. But that's family, right? Like if you care about somebody, is the only time you get that mad. It's really neat.
Yeah, and there's another thing we didn't touch on. I forget the.
This is the stalling for time, Jordan.
Yeah, I forgot his name. Hold on.
Oh
yeah, no, Sean Gunn, who plays Kraglin, right?
Yeah, crackling.
Yeah, I thought that was awesome too. Just him trying to learn the arrow, and like in the beginning he's shitty with it. Cosmo whoops his ass, and the whole bad dog thing. All of that.
Great, I'm getting that tattooed on me. I want a T-shirt. Let's take it back.
But I think in the middle we also get introduced to Rocket, kind of being in the experimental stage, but he's more advanced, right? Like, he's older. They start talking about names, like how they want, like what their names want to be. And we actually get to see like how Rocket kind of got his niche, niche.
I don't know what a niche is.
He got his niche for being a tinkerer, right? And
his niche.
The niche. Perfects the design for the High Evolutionary, which is kind of what he was designed to do, but you can see the High Evolutionary reacts in a negative way, right?
I don't know. I didn't see him reacting in a negative way. I thought he was really happy about it. The negativity came in when he was like, well, how did I do that? How do I do it again? He wasn't mad at Rocket because he didn't give a shit about Rocket. He was just like, this is what I want all of my creations to be. How do I make sure and do it?
See, I didn't take it as that. I took it as he was. It almost seemed like a narcissist, right? Like, that was like the perfect example of a narcissist, to say like, he is trying to build a better society, right? And all these experiments are meant to be, the next step of evolution, right? And be better than what is current. And he creates Rocket, and Rocket, you know, basically outdoes him by figuring out what's wrong with his experiment. And then at that point, he's happy about it. But then I think as you start to see the High Evolutionary start slipping, and he becomes a little bit more, I would say, dangerous in his methods. He starts bashing Rocket, right? Like he starts individually. He's like, "You're just you're just like a mutt, right?" Like really laying into him. Like, how can you do this? I created you, right? And
Well, if you remember back, he actually doesn't ever insult him. He says, "How can like he's?" I think he says, "How can you have figured out that there was a filtration problem and not figured out that you're not going to this planet?" It's almost like he smiles at that point because he's like, "You are so insignificant to my life that I don't care that you figured it out. It's just that I want to figure out how you did so I can make it again. And all of you are just going to die, and I don't care."
Yeah. Yeah. And with that, we see Rocket become, the Tinkerer almost, like he creates that.
Listen,
that
the
key
Tinkerer
card.
is an actual character, and he does not become the Tinkerer.
Well, he gets his niche for.
It's neat. It's not neat. Just say it the right way.
For building things, and that's one thing I actually missed a lot in the movie. You really only get to see that key card, right? But like, for it being so Rocket centered in the movie, I really wanted Rocket to have his like Super Saiyan moment, where he just built some fucking crazy ass thing.
He did.
But
he did. You're looking at it the wrong way. He built a family. He realized that it wasn't about all this other shit. It was about becoming healthy mentally and doing the stuff you love with the people you love.
No, I wanted a big gun to
makes sense.
Annihilate. I wanted the big gun to annihilate the High Evolutionary. No, but
Momo J plays. Not a fan of subtext.
I think we're starting to get to the end of the movie now, but
let's talk about how. Go ahead, finish your thought.
Okay, I was just gonna say we see Adam Warlock kind of go through. He's obviously, I don't know a lot about him in the comics, but he's definitely got a lot of a maturity thing to go through.
Well, he's basically Space Jesus in the comics.
Yeah, so I've only played the Guardians of the Galaxy game is kind of where I have a main basis of it from. But
excellent game, by the way. Everybody should play that.
Absolutely,
very good game.
Great game. But yeah, you see the High Evolutionary kind of belittle him and his mother too. It just definitely a god complex from the High Evolutionary.
Complex. He is a god.
Not from what I saw.
So that's one thing. Let's talk about that, right? So that's one thing that James Gunn has been on record. Think about everybody that they fight in all three of the main Guardians movies. They're all gods. You've got the Power Stone with Ronan, who becomes a god. You've got Ego, who's literally a god. He's a celestial. And then you have the High Evolutionary, who's endeavoring to become a celestial, who's peppering the universe with species and races of people.
Yeah.
That motherfucker's a god.
That's a good point. However, as we all know, gods don't bleed, and Rocket fucked him up.
Well,
so.
No, hold on. What is Nowhere?
Isn't that I don't know a lot about Nowhere.
Okay,
but I'm
so
thinking it's the head of
Nowhere-
a Celestial, right?
Exactly. And do you know what the yellow goo was from the first movie? It's spinal
Yellow goo.
fluid. Yeah, they
From the
were.
first movie?
Yeah, in the very first movie, they go to Nowhere, and Drax get like knocked into a pit of yellow goo. Yeah.
Yeah.
There Nowhere exists because they're like farming that goo. Right?
Huh.
The God goo.
Okay.
God's bleed, my friend. And they've done it in all three of the movies. It's just not the same color you think it is.
Yeah. Plus Thanos bled too whenever Tony and him faced off. So.
Well, I
That's
mean,
all right.
Thanos is also not a god, but yeah.
Well, he is in my definition. Look, a god
This
is
guy.
based on how badass you are.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. Definitely towards the end too, we get to see Adam Warlock kind of go through that moment of like, oh shit, I have to be, a grown ass man. During the final act. What was that creature? Is that from the comics?
No, I don't think so. No, I don't. Are you talking about the little dog-esque thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, not that I know of. We do got somebody in chat, the Goad Saw, and I think they know us, but I don't know him.
Gotti Saw. I feel like I've seen Gotti Saw in my stream before. I don't know though. It might have been a while.
We need a real name. We need a real name here. Robot laughed. Yeah, we probably know him. All right, so we've got nothing. Jon Snow. That's it. Okay. Which one of my Game of Thrones friends are you? All right, so getting back on topic. Yes, God's bleed, and the Guardians are now on God number 4 that they've killed. Tell your dog shut up. We're in the middle of something.
Okay. Here, hold on, let me mute myself.
This guy, he tells me I've got 3 questions to ask. Shit. This has got to be somebody we play a game with.
So anyways, Tony, take us into the end of the the end part of the movie. What were some things?
I don't like being told what to do. So, I'm going to go ahead and do it on my own.
Okay.
I get 3 questions to ask to guess me. First Glory. No, he actually has a screen name. Are you from Britain? That narrows down about a third of the friends.
Yeah.
So, one thing I really did want to bring up is that there's a lot of dark characters in this, right? So, we talked about that earlier about how some of the bunny rabbit and the fucking Tiefers guy, they're really dark. It's really sad. But there's a lot of dark humor in it too. That's has no place in a Marvel movie. I found it enjoyable, but I guarantee there's going to be people that didn't. How the dude just rips off the pig's head.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they treated it like it's a joke and just walk on like it's nothing. But I was like, oh my god, that's the same thing that Rocket is. Right? This monstrosity that gets built and doesn't have a choice. And then they just kill it as a tagline. I'm like, damn, that's dark.
Do you have any other examples?
Yeah, the family that we spend fucking 20 minutes with in their house that just gets blown up.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all over all over the movie. There's these little dark tidbits of humor that, man. All right, here's the riddle. I'm the fire around your screen and electricity around. Oh, there we go. It's Maria. There we go. Yeah.
Yes. Hello. Thank you. I didn't know she followed you. That's awesome.
No, you're good. You're good. Welcome to the stream.
And hello, my regards back as well. No, yeah. I honestly, the pig moment, I think that really speaks a lot about Adam Warlock too. Like it sets up a good, what I suspect to be his character arc, where he's just kind of like innocent. Well, not innocent, but like oblivious.
Yeah,
right?
and he freaking murders a man. He cooks him in his chair.
Yeah, he's like, you know, in my opinion, he's young and he doesn't know a lot about right or wrong, right? So he doesn't know what to do with the powers that he has, but all he knows is to follow what he's told, and that's like the perfect mindset of a child, right?
Yeah.
You don't know your importance.
You know,
but
I
you
don't
do what you're
really, like that guy, the actor that plays him that much. I'm not familiar with his name, but I'm not a huge fan. He was jacked in Guardians though. Like, dude was jacked. But he did a great job. Great job.
Will Poulter. by the way.
Okay, yeah, Will Poulter. Not a huge fan.
Yeah.
I don't know why you're so fucking worked up about this.
I thought he was a great fit, honestly.
I know he did great. He did good. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, it's true. Every time I looked at him, I definitely saw the movie with
Hell
him
yeah.
and what was it? What's his name? Where they pretend to be a family. I forget what it's called. Vacation, maybe.
Oh yeah. No, it's not Vacation. Doesn't matter.
We're the Millers.
Yeah,
That's
I
right.
know what you're
Thank
talking
you.
about. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. So I mean, every time I saw him, I definitely saw that. Don't get me wrong. But beyond that, like I try and separate characters by movie. Obviously, I thought he was a great fit. But yeah, I didn't realize the like dark humor play on it, but that does make sense. Can we also enjoy the fact Star-Lord talking to Nebula about the car, just how to open the door?
Dude, as soon as he's like, open the fucking door, I lost it. I was like, that's amazing.
That's
like,
his first F-bomb.
No, that's the first F-bomb in Marvel movies. I can't think of a single one.
No,
like I think I remember there was somebody in Iron Man, like one of the Iron Man movies, somebody's like in a fucking news briefing and he's like, fuck you, Tony Stark, fuck you, but they bleeped it. But like this one was like hard R. Like
open the fucking door.
What do I do now? Open the fucking door. We've all been there before too.
Yeah, absolutely. And just the whole I loved the
Thanks for the
scene, just
follow.
all of them interacting with each other, right? Like I loved that when Star-Lord draws the picture of the High Evolutionary and Drax.
That's a pretty good picture. Yeah.
Can I keep that to hang up in my apartment?
It's too good. It's too good.
It is. But also in that same final act, Gamora actually learns about, like, she kind of gains that feeling of wanting to be a part of the family, in quotes, starts caring for other people other than just herself, which is back to almost the original Gamora-esque vibe. And obviously you got Drax and Mantis doing Drax and Mantis things, disobeying orders and making shit funny.
So yeah, when the third act actually starts, right? They are, and now we're 5 minutes over. Here we go. And thanks again for the follow, guys. So when the third act actually starts, they're like running to the ship to save him, right?
Yeah.
And Nebula is like, oh shit, the ship's taking off. I better get in there to save him. Hey Drax, fly the ship over there. And Drax is like, we can't do that.
Yeah,
why not?
exactly.
Turns around, Drax is right there. And then Star-Lord's fallen down at that point with the dude from the drawing.
Yeah.
So they got no reason to get on this ship, but three of them definitely jump on the ship.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's so good. It's so good.
Rogue, what's up? Cool Jody, thanks for being in here.
What's up, guys?
No, I loved it. And then can we talk about just how badass Groot was in that scene? And
Dude, when he had like 45 guns, yeah, it was awesome. Thanks
Oh
for the
my
raid,
God,
guys. This is perfect.
Yeah, this is awesome. But I loved it. And then at that point, you know, they get stuck on the ship, and Star-Lord and Groot make it out. And
Dude,
then
it's
they have to
funny
go
too.
back
Like
and save him.
they didn't even plan that. He just jumps out and he's like, somebody will save me.
yeah.
Hello,
And,
plot armor.
Yeah. But then at that point, you know, we get into that's whenever Nebula fights with Mantis and Drax and basically says, like, you know, what value do you have to this team? Basically.
Yeah.
And it's perfectly answered, you know, because Nebula has her strengths, but also her weaknesses. Where, you know, when she's dealing with kids, like,
Right. Yeah.
it's awesome. But then somehow Drax is like the perfect person for it.
Well, I mean, it makes perfect sense, right? Like, and it's a really cool like character moment when Nebula's just like freaking out, like, get away from the wall. How do we tell him this? And Drax is just like tells him it immediately, and she's like, well, how why did you tell me you could talk to him? And he's like, well, you didn't ask. Like you saw the click. She's like, God damn. Maybe I need to be a little bit less of a piece of shit.
Yeah, exactly. And then, you know, you have a lot of you have a Drax coming in to talking to the kids. He's like, hello, morons. It's just perfect, you know? Like,
He's the perfect dad, right?
Yeah. And then at that point, you know, that carries on. They drop into the pit, and I don't remember what the creatures are called, but there's the three things that eat the batteries, right?
Yeah, the Harbalary batteries.
Yeah. But whatever those little octopus things are, I don't. That's when Mantis comes out to shine, right?
I can't believe you don't even know they're Ambulax batteries. And Drax kept calling them Harbalary batteries. Come on, that's hilarious.
If I knew it, I would laugh.
You're the fan of these movies.
You're right.
See, Dave even knows. Dave just said in chat. That's what Drax said. Harbalary batteries.
Maybe we should get Dave in here.
We should. You know, he seems like a real fan.
But tell me, what did you enjoy about Mantis's thing?
What do you mean? Like her performance or like her development? Like what do you mean? As he mutes.
Sorry. Kayla asked something. No, like just her thing. Like, you know, you're introduced to like what Mantis can do for the team. I mean, obviously we've seen it, but in regards to the whole fight with Nebula, right? Like this is like where it's put on display of like, oh, well, this is what she can bring to the team. And at that point, you know, going against a high evolutionary, you got all of the Guardians of the Galaxy plus Gamora now, the fucking fluffy pet, and which my favorite character, and fucking 3 octopus battery eaters, right? Like,
it's pretty badass, yeah.
Unstoppable.
They didn't even help though. They just they fucked off.
Oh yeah, but it was cool to see because that was also one of my favorite lines. For Disney to sell toys
of the giant monster things.
No, he's talking about the fluffy dog thing.
Yeah, 100%. No, that's way less egregious than that fucking Baby Yoda Grogu, though, right? Because this thing had like 3 total scenes in a 3-hour-long movie.
Absolutely, yeah.
The Milano or whatever they call the new ship, though, that like breaks into 5 parts. 100% made for toys.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will be buying that Lego set when it comes out. So, but Another cool thing I loved to see was just the Guardians of the Galaxy actually fighting together in that one scene where like it's the whole um
Oh, you talking about the
ships
hallway scene?
yeah,
Perfect, man. I love those
absolutely.
those ongoing shots where they're like long takes with no
Yes.
cuts and stuff. I love those, dude. And that's what was one of the best thing I think that has been in the MCU period. Like,
Oh yeah.
very good.
It's hard to beat Endgame, don't get me wrong. But that, like I said, this
See,
movie
you talk about Endgame. I'm thinking of like Daredevil, right? Like the Netflix Daredevil, where he had like a 5-minute fight in a fucking apartment complex, and it was all shot in one go too, and it was the same way. And like this was the same thing, like amped up tenfold. You should go watch that scene, dude. It's really good.
I might need to.
It's really good.
I definitely need to watch the Netflix series, especially with the movies and media coming out.
Yeah.
But the I I love seeing Gamora back in action. Obviously, she's a missed character for me.
Yeah, and she is totally a different character in this movie. Completely.
Absolutely.
So, like, she did a fucking fantastic job.
Yeah. You got to see the perfect Star-Lord. Like, you got to see Star-Lord back in action, like, back on his mantle. Especially when he attached the fucking taser to the dude's butthole. Like, that was just so Star-Lord, right? It was great. Groot, that's what I was disappointed about. I was disappointed that Groot had such a cool scene with the High Evolutionary, but then in the hallway scene, I think he like penetrates one dude and then like, explodes him from the inside out.
That's a
Other than
bad
that-
thing? That was really cool.
Well, yeah, but like honestly, his hallway fight in Guardians of the Galaxy 1 was I think way cooler than that one, right? Like what he did?
Nah, that was cool.
I don't know.
And
just
Groot
feel like-
just outshined himself earlier when he had like a ton of and a whole armory of guns hidden in his chest.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe they should have
Nah.
swapped. I don't know. But
The-
I would have liked to have
my-
seen Groot carry that same level into that scene.
Complaint on that scene was, again, they're just mercilessly murdering all of these poor animals. Like, murdering. One of them gets cut in half.
Yeah, but they're ugly, so it's easier.
Yeah, when Mantis finds that ugly ass one, she's like, ah! And he's like, thank you. Yeah.
She's like, I was screaming at something behind you, not you. It was
Perfect.
great.
All right, we got to start winding up. So, final thoughts.
Oh, yeah, I'm getting started. I'm just now getting started. Also, can we talk about the raw emotion of the scene whenever you see Rocket's friends get shot because he's trying to save them?
Yeah, it was intense. I mean, it's one of those scenes that like you see coming. Like,
Yeah.
But the fact that it hits him so hard and that he disfigures this god as a result of it kind of is fitting and satisfying. But
Yeah.
I think more powerful than that was when they tell him to stay. Right? Like he's having this like moment where he could either live or die. And typically they're like, no, I'm gonna have to stay here and like I'll come see you guys later. Rocket was like, nah, fuck that. I want to see you guys. And like that scene plays out in that same area, right? Like it may be like overexposed, but like those are the cages that he's in. So like subtextually, he's never left there. He's been just waiting for his opportunity to go back and see those friends that died there. And then they tell him he's got something to do. He has a purpose. And that's what he finally accepts, that like it's time for that he starts living his life and stops punishing himself for surviving. It was such a good scene. Such a good scene.
Yeah. And the I loved. I for a second I thought he was only going to save the raccoons, and I was about to be like super pissed off.
Dude, I told my wife the same thing. I'm like, he better fucking save those other things. There's a goddamn elephant over there.
There's an aardvark.
Yeah.
No, I honestly thought that's what was going to happen. I'm
Yeah.
glad it didn't happen like that. That's also when we get injured. Like we finally get to hear the phrase "Rocket Raccoon," right? Because he's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
"No, I'm Rocket Raccoon." That was great. I love those moments. And then obviously we get to see Cosmo in action with her powers, which was sick. We get to see fucking
Craigslist.
yeah. We get to see Kraglin. We get to see him actually, kind of master the arrow, which is great.
Dude, Yondu's cameo was really good. I really like that. The fact that again, like he says it like that's like should be on his t-shirt, but he's like it comes from the heart. It comes from the heart. And
Yeah.
that's when Craigslist finally like gets it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like all of it was great. And then we hit that point where Star-Lord's trying to escape and gets stuck out in space. My whole thing is, did I miss something? Like what happened to his helmet?
So I think that scene's more symbolic than anything else. And like as soon as he's like flying through space, I turned to my wife and I was like, Adam Warlock's gonna save him 100%. Then they reenact that like that finger touch
Painting.
yeah. What's the name of that painting?
Oh my god, I don't remember.
Yeah, look it up. You're gonna be like, oh, this makes sense now. But that scene was more about how Star-Lord thought of himself as doing the saving, and this was the first time in his life where he didn't do something magically and it just worked out where he saved the day. He had to be saved, right? So
Yeah.
what's the name of that painting?
It says the subject is Adam.
That's
but
yeah,
basically,
exactly.
Yeah, God gives life to Adam. So okay.
That's when Star-Lord gave him life as a character. Right? So that's when he becomes Adam Warlock. Before that, he's just the Warlock.
The bad dude.
Yeah.
Or I mean, like one of the bad dudes, I guess.
Right.
When Groot saves him, right? And then who is it? Is it Mantis that said, or no, Drax, right? That says everyone deserves a second chance.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is perfect because like all of them come from second chance lives, really.
Yeah.
That is the Guardians.
This
of the
is
Galaxy.
literally Groot's second life. Like literally his second life.
Yeah. And hell, he almost lost it in the opening scene.
Yeah, man. He definitely lost his head over it.
Yeah. But wrapping everything up, obviously, we see Star-Lord and Gamora have their final goodbyes, which I thought was perfect. Like I didn't know what I was expecting, but nothing less than great was what we got from that.
Yeah, it was really good. It gave closure. I wasn't surprised when people were like, "No, I think this is where we got to part ways," and that really hit me hard. Because like I've had friends in my life where I've been really close with people, and then you realize that like we don't have anything in common anymore, and like we're trying to save this relationship, but why? It's time that we just we grow up, we part ways, we'll see each other at the cookouts and move on with our lives. And it's really sad, but it's part of growing up. It's something that everybody goes through. I mean, I'm sure you being from the military, I'm sure you have way more of those stories than I do.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Because you're all still a group, but it's just like there's no reason for us to just be hanging out, because we don't, you guys want to do something else, and it was great. I loved seeing Mantis walk off with the 3 battery octopuses, right? Like
yeah.
that was great. I loved that Rocket is the kind of like the new Star-Lord. He's the leader of the group.
Yeah.
And Nebula has a new idea about everything. Also, I thought it was interesting to see Gamora like it was actually like really heartwarming to see Gamora with at least a family, right? Because she's not alone. She's with the Ravagers, and the Ravagers are like overjoyed to have her back, right?
Yeah.
But also you kind of see Nebula get, I don't know if protective is the right word, but
No,
almost like
she finds a purpose, is what it is. She's like not adrift anymore. She's like, I got all these kids here. I want to make it so they don't have the same life I had.
oh yeah. But I'm
Yeah.
talking about the scene whenever they're talking, like Star-Lord and Gamora are talking, and then like Nebula makes her way, like makes it a point to go talk to Star-Lord. Almost like there's some, I don't know, maybe some feeling there. What do you think?
No, not at all. I don't think so.
I don't know.
No.
Star-Lord did say Thanos picked a pretty set. So.
Yeah, but that gave me that creepy like what do you call it? That's like the hookup. Like,
Yeah,
hey,
the booty call.
hey, she's not looking bad. Maybe we can
Yeah, like a rebound.
Yeah.
No, for sure. And then obviously we get Dancing Drax. One thing, okay, so this is the one thing I wanted to touch on that I hated. I hated that Groot said the line that he did.
All right, so I didn't like it initially. I agree because, I feel like it would have been more powerful in a displayed in a different way. But take it with a grain of salt. I think that that's supposed to be us becoming Groot. Like in the beginning when he says "We are Groot" in the first movie, and like after that point, everybody understands him. And I think that was supposed to be like the final scene where it's like, now we all are understanding. Now, that being said, I think it would have been much more powerful if he still said, I am Groot, but they gave you subtitles for what it said. Because we hear the one thing, but we understand what it means now. I think it would have been better. But I didn't like it initially either, but it's warmed up on me.
Yeah, you know what? Thinking of it like that, I don't mind it like that. If that is the case, I think that's beautiful.
And that's my interpretation. I don't know if that's true, but that's how I took it.
Well, I'm gonna choose to follow yours because yours
is my head canon.
But yeah, overall, other than the key moments about Groot not being powerful enough in the hallway and him saying "I love you guys," I would have much rather have had another "We Are Groot" type moment. I would have loved that.
Well, you did. You just didn't know it. I mean, that's
heard,
yeah.
Look, this is what I heard. I heard Vin Diesel, and I pictured Groot in a Dodge Charger.
Family.
In Fast and Furious 10, right? Like, that's what I saw.
Oh no.
But beyond that, great movie. Let's talk about the end credit scenes real quick. There's two, so if you haven't seen it, please don't be watching this, first of all. But also, the first one we see the new Guardians of the Galaxy, right? Kraglin, Rocket, Adam Warlock, and Groot, obviously. And
you're forgetting one. Yeah, she's very important.
Girl.
Yeah.
See, I didn't know anything about her, so I had to look it up, right?
She ends up becoming Quasar, which is a fucking huge character.
What is it? How do you say it? Phyla-Vell?
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm assuming that's her, right? Phyla-Vell?
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know anything about Phyla-Vell, but I know when I left the movie, I was like, who the fuck is she? Because she looks crazy. So, seeing that scene, I love that they also introduced clicking on 2000s, which is kind of like moving on, right? But at the end credit scene, he brings it back to "Come and Get Your Love," which is, I think, what we open up with in Guardians 1, right?
Yep, 100%. Yep.
So
we're leaving with what we started with.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that was great, and
Apex Groot or whatever, King Groot, whatever they want to fucking call it, looks sweet.
Yeah, right.
Looks sweet.
Exactly.
But Adam Warlock is Omega level, he can destroy planets and shit. So do we really need anybody else?
Yeah, and that's what I'm excited to see. Like that's what I'm excited to see play out, how that all works out. I mean, obviously, um, this is creating the next teary-eyed moments for the big bad face-off, right? Like I can kind of see what's going to happen. Obviously, speculations, right? Gamora is going to end up coming back with the Ravagers at some point, and we will see Star Lord. But to what capacity? Not to the Guardians of the Galaxy Star Lord, right? And I think that's why they introduced the legendary Star Lord, because that means I'm pretty sure doesn't he kind of go off on his own at some point in the comics?
I mean, he's gone off on his own, come back, gone off, come back. He actually marries Kitty Pryde at one point. Like,
That's awesome.
yeah, that's
Um,
he's a big character.
they need to introduce the mutants.
So one thing, the only speculation I could have, I genuinely don't think that they're going to do any more Guardians movies. I think they're going to end it here. There's the core group changed quite a bit over the years from in the comics. They added people, took people away. They were never like a hugely popular group. But one thing that I did notice was that in the first movie, there's a lot of really juvenile humor, right? It's a lot of slapstick stuff, a lot of like, wheeling the middle finger out. Like it's very juvenile. Then in the second movie, there's a lot more sex jokes, right? There's a lot more implications with his dad having sex with his mom and like, a lot of that type of humor, which is more like adolescent or teenage humor. Now, this one, being much darker, has a lot more of that adult humor where it's like, it's not always going to resonate with everybody. I see what you're doing, James Gunn, and I approve. But what I worry is that now somewhere, someone in a fucking office room is going to be like, all the MCU needs to have this same dark humor now. And it's going to become part of the fucking formula. And we're going to see pigs getting their heads ripped off at completely stupid times. It's going to ruin the MCU. Don't do it. Let the Guardians be its thing. Don't try to emulate it. Let it be it. And let's move on and make something new. Make something great.
Yeah. Absolutely. I agree with you. I believe every movie should have its own thing. And Guardians should stick to where it's at. I do think you're wrong though about one thing. There's definitely going to be.
I am not wrong.
There has to be a Guardians of the Galaxy, like another Guardians of the Galaxy, at some point in the timeline. Right? Because
let me ask you this, Jordan, and I could be wrong. Maybe I am. But how many appearances did the Guardians have
in all of the movies?
Yeah. 8.
So
they had 8. They had 8 total appearances. How many movies were there? 3. So we're gonna see the characters again, but they won't be in the Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
Now, are we talking about movies or media? Because I definitely think
I'm saying we're not going to get Guardians of the Galaxy version 2. We're not going to get like how they're doing with the Avengers, right? We're not going to see that. I don't think we're going to see Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 4 either. But we'll see him in other ways. Maybe Star-Lord's part of the Avengers. There's also a lot of other Galaxy-esque teams that could come about also.
Yeah. Well, we know we won't see James Gunn again because he is going to be the new director person for DC stuff now. So he's done with Marvel.
Listen, have you seen Peacekeeper?
I haven't.
Oh my god, it's probably my favorite piece of James Gunn work.
Really?
The intro, we played at our wedding.
Okay. Yeah,
it's amazing.
I'll have to end up watching that. But another thing, in the Star-Lord end credit scene, whenever he's just eating, I'm pretty sure it was Pops.
Yeah,
the cereal bowl. And I didn't get to see a lot of what they were talking about, but it sounded like Star-Lord was having to mow someone's lawn, and I'm assuming it was Kevin Bacon's maybe.
No, it was just like a neighbor or something.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought it would have been funny if, in my opinion, if his I think it's his uncle, right, who's in the scene. He goes back.
Did you even watch the movie? That man has been in all 3 movies. It's his fucking
yeah, but
grandpa.
I don't know the relation.
It's his grandpa.
Oh, it's his grandpa. Okay, got it. So, regardless, his grandfather.
This motherfucker.
I think it'd have been funny if it was his grandfather trying to like put like a punishment on Peter to have to mow Kevin Bacon's lawn as like a, pay the piper for abducting Kevin Bacon.
Well, he didn't abduct him, right? He had no part in it. That was 100% Drax.
Oh yeah, but whenever you're taking on the father role, like if you're in correlation, then you're to blame too. But then we'll see the legendary Star-Lord will return. So obviously we will see the characters at some point, but maybe not in a film. But I can't wait.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. I hope to see more stuff come through like this, but not exactly the same.
Yeah, exactly. But only time will tell, and at that point, hopefully we have mutants.
We should actually, we haven't decided on what we're gonna do next week, but maybe we should make that part of the podcast, just talking about ideas for next week. Maybe we should go over the trailers and announcements for the upcoming movies. I've got a lot of opinions about Marvels, and I've only seen a 2-minute trailer.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely do that. If the community wants to like reach out, to either Prime Tony or myself, Momo J, on any of the socials, and just give us ideas on what you want to hear, then feel free to do that. Because this whole thing is still kind of fluid, so we're gonna see what we want to do with it.
All right, well, we're gonna call it there, guys. I got no outro music, but come and get your love.
Yeah. Dog days are over.
Hey.
All right, thanks for tuning in, guys.